On March 27, 2010, Nickelodeon debuted their newest teen sitcom. From the same creator as their previous mega hit iCarly, Victorious centers around the fictional Hollywood Arts High School and its newest student, Tori Vega, played by Victoria Justice, and her quirky friend group made up of people who just want to be famous. Victorious was pretty popular back in its day, and still persists in online fandoms years after its cancellation, in part due to his cast moving on to bigger and better things, most notably Ariana Grande. Infamously though, Victorious never had a proper finale. It just ended on a random episode where everyone was forced to say yes to everything, and of course prominently featured feet. Recently, well, depending on when this video releases, Victorious was picked up for a spin-off featuring Danielle Monet's character Trina Vega, who was Tori's older sister in the original show, and I do not have high hopes for it. Sorry. And listen, Trina was literally one of my favorite characters in the show. Chicago was a performance that changed people's lives. Quote from Deadline: "Produced by Nickelodeon, Hollywood Arts follows Trina returning to her old stomping grounds as the newest teacher at Hollywood's most elite performing arts school. I can already see where it's going, the new generation of Hollywood Arts. And don't get me wrong, Hollywood Arts is an iconic institution. But this isn't what the Victorious fandom wants. They want the finale they never got. That also goes for the original cast as well. So allow me, Nickelodeon, to make a pitch for you. A way for Victorious to finally be complete. This is my pitch for the Victorious movie. Rated R. So even though this is the Victorious revival of my dreams, I still wanted it to work in some reality. You're not paying Ariana Grande for an entire series. Even a mini-series is cutting it close. But we don't need a series. A movie can suffice. And we'll get a bigger budget, because I'm not aiming for a Paramount Plus original. This is going to be shown on the big screen. So let's just jump right into it.
Saturday, May 19th, Tori Vega may become the world's next big star.
Tori Vega?
As she beats out thousands of hopefuls to perform at the Platinum
What was
Music
that?
Award.
We start the movie with Tori Vega. In the original show, Tori was the only one of the main cast who actually made it. In the season 3 episode, Tori Goes Platinum, Tori wins a contest to sing in the opening number for the Platinum Music Awards. There's of course some shenanigans, but in the end of the episode, Tori does perform and the status quo shifts to Tori being a known star. A later reference in the season 4 episode Star Spangled Tori, where Tori's asked to sing the national anthem on live television. Also, big shout out to Victorious Wiki for these plot descriptions. Those 13-year-olds in 2010 were the real ones. So I imagine that Tori is still a music star, but perhaps past her prime. Like, she was big in her 20s, but now in her 30s, she's giving major modern Katy Perry energy, and no one wants to be giving modern Katy Perry. So in this scene, Tori's performing for some billionaire couple's wedding like Rihanna that one time, and she's performing her hit song Make It Shine. And it's a very elaborate stage. She's flying around like Pink that one time. However, she spots in the crowd someone wearing a mask of Rex. In the show, Rex was a puppet of Tori's friend Robbie. His gimmick was that he talked, quote, urban, and that was actually said in the show.
Can you tell me where Mr. Sykowitz's classroom is?
You will find Mr. Sykowitz down the hall. Simply take a left at the water fountain.
Hang on a second.
Yes.
Could you try it again, but like, with more attitude and, oh, can you do a realistic American urban accent?
American urban. All right, I'll give it a go. Sykowitz, down the hall, swing a left at the water fountain, second door on your right.
Anyway, she finishes her set, the crowd cheers, and she goes backstage. Her publicist goes up to her and gives her an invitation to a funeral, with her publicist clarifying that apparently one of her friends from high school recently passed. We then change scenes to Jade and Beck. And yes, unfortunately the toxic power couple are still together. In the original show, Jade was Tori's rival and hated her guts, while Beck had hair that made Beck with the good hair sweat, which I guess made up for his cardboard personality. Fun fact, Beck's actor, Allan is now with Halsey, who was best known for a performance of Blink-182 at the mall. So I imagine their past led to Jade being a horror movie director, but not making some high art at A24. Instead, she's directing something akin to the second Five Nights at Freddy's movie at Blumhouse. Or better yet, Megan 2.0. Beck is an actor, but not starring in award-winning dramas. More the lead for a CW Supernatural show, but not the show Supernatural, but a show of supernatural elements. I'm thinking Twilight but with mermen. The two still absolutely despise each other. Jade is resentful that Beck is settling for his merman show, but Beck wants Jade to appreciate him and his hair for once. I imagine this argument is happening all while Jade is on set for a horror movie and making the whole cast and crew uncomfortable. Very familiar territory for Victorious. Jade storms off to the movie's prop room. That's when she notices a prop she's never seen before. A puppet, eerily similar to Rex. She asks someone on set what's the deal with this thing, but they're just as clueless as her. That's when both her and Beck get a text, an invitation to the same funeral Tori was invited to. We now cut to Cat Valentine. Words can't explain Cat Valentine. She has red hair, and as we know, a girl doesn't dye her hair that color unless she has psychological problems. Cat is a manic pixie dream girl, but if the manic was amped up to 11, I could have her committed to a mental institution if that didn't already happen in the show.
Where's Cat?
So, I imagine Cat as some sort of tortured artist. You know that meme going around of those creepy bunny paintings? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff Cat makes. This scene is very short. It's just Cat working on a painting, maybe humming one of the Victorious songs, and then it cuts to her painting of a hyper-realistic portrait of Rex. She also gets an invitation later. Trina Vega is currently touring Trina, a one-woman show, and guess what? It's a smash hit. Now, is it a smash because people online go to the shows to post viral clips because of how bad it is? Maybe. But unlike most of the people we went through so far, she's actually satisfied with her life, even if it's more of a blissfully unaware situation. Now, she's performing a scene where she flies around in the air and sings Chicago when her harness breaks and she falls like 6 feet midair. This is more of a deep cut, but in the season 2 episode, Who Did It to Trina, a similar thing happens to Trina while performing in Tori's play. At the end of the episode, guess who did it? Well, you'll learn soon enough. Trina actually doesn't get invited to the funeral, but she stalks everyone's online accounts and figures it out, and decides to crush the funeral, like the queen she is. Andre Harris is a record label producer for Ariana Grande. Now, I know that's kind of confusing, but in this universe, Ariana Grande exists completely separate from Cat Valentine. You're just gonna have to accept it. They're recording Ariana's new album when Ariana pauses the session to ask Andre what's with the puppet behind him. Andre turns around and sees, would you guess it, Rex. He's confused as well and tells Ariana all about his friend Robbie and his relationship with Rex. This is for anyone in the audience who has never seen an episode of Victorious. I probably should have been thinking about that this entire time. Anyways, he gets a text about the funeral, and this is where the movie really begins. You may have some theories about who died. The most obvious suspect is Robbie, which would explain all the Rex imagery. Like maybe it's his ghost leaving signs or something. Or you might think I wouldn't be bold enough to kill off a main character, so you might think it's a side character like Mr. Sikowitz, their teacher, or St. John Van Cleef. But I would never do that to my baby St. John, how dare you? So Tori, Jade, Beck, Cat, Trina, and Andre all arrive to the funeral. And note, this is the first time they're seeing each other since graduating high school. The energy is very awkward. A funeral is not an ideal place to be having a reunion, and they also suspect Robbie has died as he's the only one missing from their group. Though it is weird they're the only ones in attendance. That's when they see Robbie on the podium, in front of the grave, giving the eulogy. To whom you may ask? Rex. Everyone is confused and upset, mostly because a very similar thing like this happened in the show. In the season 1 episode Rex dies after getting sucked into a turbojet, which is used for one that replaces to create a fake tornado effect, accidentally by Tori. He then goes to a real person hospital in critical condition, and everyone agrees to pull his plug for Robbie's sake. But Tori decides to save Rex after realizing how much Robbie depends on his and Rex's relationship. Now everyone's mad at Robbie, thinking this funeral and seeing Rex was also some sort of stunt on his end. But Robbie has no idea what they're talking about, as he was asked to give Rex his eulogy, because he and Rex haven't seen each other since high school too. Now everyone is shook. What is going on? They look at the casket. It's closed. They want to see if Rex is really dead, which is crazy because he was never alive in the first place, right? They open the casket. Who do they see? Pop sensation Ariana Grande. Dead in a coffin. Dead in a casket. Yep, this is a horror movie. So at this point you might be wondering, what the fuck does this have to do with Victorious? And I would argue this has everything to do with Victorious. It has just been aged up with their audience. I watched the iCarly reboot and I thought it was fine. But the reason it never stood out against the original is because it was safe. The reason why Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, and Cat had so many memorable scenes and moments, even more compared to the sitcoms on Disney Channel, and it's really no shade, don't get me started on all their iconic programming, but those Nick shows always felt like they had this edge, that they were always one line or joke away from being considered adult programming. Don't believe me? There's an episode of Victorious where the gang gets locked up in prison in a foreign country. There's an episode of Victorious where it ends with Cat being committed into a mental institution. There's an entire episode of iCarly where Sam commits herself into a mental institution. The cast of iCarly gets kidnapped and tortured in 2 separate episodes. Drake and Josh run over Oprah. There's literally an episode of Sam and Cat that references The Silence of the Lambs, and one that references Breaking Bad. Anyways, the point is how Victorious has always been considered edgier and more out there than its contemporaries, and I am simply taking this approach to its climax. For the Victorious movie meant to be a finale for the entire series, so let's jump back into it. The next scenes are not necessarily going to be in chronological order, because I did not feel like writing an entire script for this. Just think of it more as highlights, which I'm pretty sure is what happens in a real life movie studio pitch. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big shot Hollywood producer, thank God. Police are, of course, called, and of course, our main group is considered the top suspects. The setting of this funeral is like in Northern California, near the woods, and nearby is an Airbnb cabin where the gang is staying at while the investigation is still active. So you have Tori, Jade, Beck, Kat, Trina, Andre, and Robbie staying in one of these cabins. Tensions are high, not only because there's a murderer who's likely one of them, but also if you watch the original series, you would know that all of them hate each other. I feel like Tori wants to get to the bottom of things, because she's always got to be the center of attention. So she begins by asking how did Ariana Grande even end up here? Andre's being very cagey. None of them knows he was Ariana's producer, and of course if he comes out with this information, he would be the #1 suspect. Robbie interjects and notes how similar Ariana looks to Kat, but we pan to see Kat doing her and say something like, I don't see it. Then Jade would be like, who wants to bet the killer was actually targeting Kat? Which makes him realize that would make a lot more sense. Andre goes to the bathroom and checks his text, because we find out that Ariana actually went with him to the funeral. She was really curious about the lore of his friend group. They arrived together the previous day, but early in the morning, Andre found that Ariana had left. He thought she probably just had better things to do, but now of course he feels immense guilt for what's happened to her. And here we can have an Andre's grandma cameo. She calls him screaming that her Bluetooth isn't working, and when Andre asks her to show him, she pulls out a Bluetooth from her mouth. During her rant, for a moment she falls silent and just stares presumably at Andre until she says, who's that behind you? Andre looks behind him and he sees a cloaked figure with a Rex mask. The same as what Tori saw earlier. The figure, he knocks him out. We cut to black. We resume on the rest of the cast, and Jade and Beck start arguing about whatever, and everyone's already tired of it. Trina pulls Tori aside and berates her about never coming to her one-woman show, and Tori rebuttals by saying that Trina never came to any of her performances. But then Tori gets real, and says that she expected that she would lose touch with her friends from Hollywood arts, but she never expected for her own sister to grow so distant. Especially after their parents' divorce. After Dad found out that their mom was having an affair with his partner in the police force, an actual running gag in the original series by the way, and Trina says, well, why would I come to support you? It's not like you needed it. You were always a golden goose of the family while our parents literally wanted nothing to do with me. And Tori says, yeah, I was a golden goose. You know how many times Mom, Dad, and Gary came looking at me for money? They both look at each other, realizing that they were both to blame for letting this relationship grow so distant, and they hug it out. Honestly, I always felt like Tori and Trina's sister dynamic was always underutilized. Mostly because in the original series, Trina was just a punching bag used by the writers, but when you really analyze the scraps we get from their home lives, their parents are almost never around. And yeah, that probably goes for every wealthy teenager growing up in LA, but still. The problem in their dynamic was twofold, and the best example is in Season 1, Episode 4, the Birth Week song. Trina celebrates her birth week and Tori decides to write her a song for a present. She has an entire performance for the song, You're the Reason, after which Trina asks her where her present was, and Tori rightfully gets upset. Later, Trina sells the song to a record label who by the end of the episode gives the song to Beyonce. Of course, Trina was in the wrong for not appreciating Tori's gift, but Tori was also in the wrong for not realizing putting a grandiose performance would take attention away from her sister's birth week. Trina intentionally puts on an egotistical persona to hide from the fact that she's really insecure about her perceived lack of talent, especially compared to her sister. Tori is very aloof to the way other people treat her, not realizing the attention, opportunity, and fame she seemingly naturally gets has the ability to put others down. So this hug really represents the bridge between these two separate ideas. After so many years, the two sisters can finally see eye to eye, realizing they were both looking for the same thing, support. Look at me talking like a film director, this Victorious movie is gonna sweep the Oscars. I say it's to drag me to the mental institution. Tori goes to try to find out more about what's going on, but Trina overhears, oh my god, it's a perfectly good pair of Fazzini boots. She knows she must acquire those newfound Fazzini boots immediately, so she runs off to the voice and we don't ever see her again. We then get a scene with Kat and Robbie. Now, am I gonna ship them as they kinda got together near the end of Victorious and Sam and Kat? They're cute, I guess, but they're not really a ship that has my attention. Anyways, they get to talking and Kat brings up what Robbie said in the funeral, that he and Rex haven't seen each other since high school. I think it only makes sense for Kat to ask this question, because I believe she's the only one besides Robbie who sees Rex as a separate person. Robbie says that before graduating, he and Rex were already growing apart. He says for him, Rex was a way to express his true feelings, as he was always very shy growing up. Now, he admits that Rex wasn't a very healthy outlet, as a lot of people were put off by him, but he always had him as someone to talk to. But after hanging out with the gang more often, he came more out of his shell and started to embrace himself about Rex. Kat and Robbie are sharing this one-on-one, and Robbie remarks on the last time they saw each other. This was during Sam and Kat. For those wondering, that was episode 23 and 24 from season 1 of Sam and Kat. Hashtag the Killer Tuna Jump, where Robbie and Freddie from iCarly got viciously mauled by Killer Tuna. We don't have time to get into it. Robbie always wondered if Kat wanted to continue a relationship. At this point, Kat's distracted because she smells something. She follows the scent all the way to the pantry and finds a giant tin of Bibble. In Tori Goes Platinum, Kat gets so addicted to Bibble Bibble, the British confectionery, that she literally gets a Bibble guard. Suffice to say, you do not want Kat getting any Bibble.
No Bibble for Kat!
No Bibble for Cat.
She tries to open the tin, but it's sealed tightly. She asks Robbie to help her, but he refuses, not wanting to get back on the Bibble, where she then proceeds to bite his arm. He then decides to help her. Together they open the tin of Bibble, and inside there is no Bibble. Kat then cries and runs away. Robbie looks closer. Inside the Bibble, the large tin is empty, except for a card way down at the bottom. He's actually gonna fucking rob. He takes it and reads what it says. In order to find the answers you seek, go to the Palace of Retreat. And pay close attention to the words in that card. You then cut back to Kat, who has run away outside and found this beautiful lakefront in the backyard. She goes near the lake and starts talking to her reflection like it's another person, but as her conversation goes on, she notices that her reflection turns to the store and pops out the hooded Rex. And you guessed it, we cut to black. We cut back to Jade and Beck. They finally get sick of arguing and split off. Jade then finds Tori and decides to antagonize her. In her Tori impression that weirdly sounds like a Southern farm girl. Okay, I can't do a Southern impression, so just imagine in your head. Oh, little old me. I guess I can. Oh, little old me has no clue how to solve a murder case. Oh, way over my head. Tori, not wanting Jade to start a fight with this again, flat out says, So did you tell Beck about our one night? So did you tell Beck about our one night stand? I know all of y'all are gagged right now. Girl, we're just getting started. I need you to lock in and stay seated. Jade immediately gets defensive, saying that they both agreed that they would never speak of that night again. We cut to a flashback around 5 years ago. Tori is starring in a horror movie Jade's directing, with Beck as her co-star. Let's say it's a movie where a group of teenagers are stuck in a cabin after being framed for a murder. I know, so original. At this point, Jade and Beck's relationship was actually stable, but Jade grows weary, as she's always suspected there was something going on with Tori and Beck. Probably because Beck tried to kiss Tori one time, and she's right because every day after shooting, Beck hits on Tori behind Jade's back. Dude's a player, what can I say? Tori, however, rejects him every time. You see, she was originally going to turn down her agent's offer to do the movie. When she found out that Jade was directing, she wanted in. You see, Tori always wanted to be Jade's friend. This was evident a lot in the series, but they never really grew out of their frenemies phase. Tori wants to change that right here, right now. So she asks Jade if he wants to go grab a cup of coffee later. Jade accepts, only in the hopes of finding out if there's anything going on between her and Beck. During the conversation, Tori catches that Jade is trying to push about her and Beck, so she lets it slip about her motive for signing on to the project. Jade is taken aback by this. She never realized that Tori cared that much about their friendship. However, Jade is unable to be open about her feelings, so she passes off a joke about Tori being obsessed with her. And Tori laughs, saying that she was probably right. They both kind of stare at each other, longingly. They both kind of stare at each other longingly, looking into their eyes, wondering what the other one is thinking. Tori says this reminds her of the time the two of them were on a date. In Season 3, Episode 6, Tori and Jade's Playdate, Tori and Jade play a married couple in a school play by Psychowitz. Psychowitz then sends Tori and Jade on a date to a sushi place so they can work on their romance dynamic for the play. Like, that's as clear-cut shipping as it gets. Anyways, the tension of their coffee date grows. Tori says she might need some help going over her lines for the scene they're filming tomorrow, and Jade says they can meet at her place. Beck rarely comes over anyways. And when Tori arrives at Jade's place, they of course read a romantic scene. And by the time they get to the kiss, they start a full-blown makeout session. This was always my master plan. The one shit I'm victorious. And let's be honest, most people care about is Tori and Jade. Come on, enemies to lover, that's a classic. And who else are you gonna ship? Beck has the personality of cardboard. Robbie and Kat are kinda eh. And Andre could have been a viable option if the writers remember he existed. And who are you left with? The puppet? Get that nastiness out of here. We cut to the day after in present day, and of course both of them are in bed together. Old habits die hard, I guess. So Tori and Jade get out of their room and they notice that everyone is seemingly gone. Jade expects the worst, that they all attempt to escape and have the two of them be their scapegoats. But Tori suspects that there's something more sinister to their disappearance. All they find is a note in the Bible tin. The same note that Robbie read previously. In order to find the answers you seek, go to the Palace of Retreat. What is this, amateur hour? Jade says. What do you mean? Tori retorts. I've read enough amateur scripts to spot a typo a mile away, Jade says. A typo? Tori looks back and sees that they spelled palace with 2 L's instead of 2 A's. Hey Jade, do you have a blacklight? I direct horror movies for a living, of course I have a blacklight. They find a dark room and shine the card with the light. The 2 L's in palace light up, as do the H in the first the O and R in order, the D in find, the W and A in answers, the Y and O in U, the S in seek, the O in go, and the first T in retreat. That gives you OMG. Hordes away ocelot. Hollywood Arts. Yeah. I knew that. But how are they going to go to Hollywood Arts if they're still under investigation? Right, Jade? Tori looks to find Jade's gaze, but she's not there. Tori's all alone. Tori is, of course, the final girl. Come on, did you really think it was going to be any other way? So quick disclaimer before our climactic finale. Obviously, if this was a real movie, the pacing wouldn't be this messy and sloppy. But like I said before, I was not going to write an entire script. I just want to highlight scenes and character moments I want in a Victorious movie, which is why Beck kind of got nothing. Whoops. If you want me to write an entire script, then cash out me right now. So we see Tori enter Hollywood Arts. Oh, how did Tori go to Hollywood Arts if she's under police investigation? She's surrounded the Hollywood Arts hallways with all the cast's fun, quirky locker signs. But in the abandoned dark, they all look weird and unnatural. The school has been closed since 2013 because the school had actually very low turnout of making people stars. Who would have guessed? So Tori gets up and starts calling for her friends. What she sees graffiti on the walls with arrows pointing in a certain direction. That direction is to the outside area of the cafeteria, and she sees that all her friends are in saw-like death traps. Jade is tied to a big wheel spinning around, while the hooded Rex throws scissors at her, both referencing to Jade's favorite movie, The Scissoring. I mean, you really can't make this stuff up. And see the iCarly episode where Spencer was put in the exact same trap. Again, you really can't make this stuff up. Then we have Trina elevating the air with a harness that's about to break. You should already know what that's a reference to. Kat is in a cage that's slowly being lowered down to a pool filled with killer tuna fish, with the lowering mechanism being held by another hooded Rex. Again, this was in the hashtag Killer Tuna Jump episode of Sam and Cat, where Sam and Cat's gambler-like friend Dice accidentally receives a ton of Kansas Razorback tuna for a bet, and Sam decides that she's going to dump over the tank of deadly tuna with her motorcycle, because why not? And by the end of the episode, Robbie and Freddy get severely injured by the killer tuna fish, so they're no joke. Andre is in a cage filled with vampire moths. In the season 2 episode Locked Up, the cast gets put into the prison of the foreign country of Yoruba, after Tori accidentally throws her heel at the country's leader, stabbing him in the eye. During this performance, Andre has a giant bump on his neck because he got bit by one of those vampire moths. So imagine an entire cage filled with them. And Beck is hooked up into a clockwork orange torture machine and forced to watch security footage from the cabin of the moment where Tori and Jade hooked up. Though, also knowing Beck is probably really into it. So we find Robbie in the balcony of the area, where previously Tori and Andre performed a seriously underrated song, Here's to Us. Tori at this moment sees Robbie as the mastermind behind all of this. I mean, it makes sense with all the Rex imagery. She shouts up at him, "Why, Robbie? Why are you doing this to us?" And Robbie says, "I'm not." He slowly raises his arm and reveals Rex the puppet. Tori says, "Quit acting, Robbie. For the last time, Rex is not real." And when she says this, we see Rex shoot out of Robbie's hand and start walking on the balcony. "Oh, look, I'm finally a real boy," Rex says, now completely independent of Robbie. "You see, Tori, unbeknownst to all of you," also I'm not going to be doing Rex's voice, "including Robbie, I have been alive longer than any of you. My true name isn't Rex. My real name is lost to time, because I am a demon from the long before, forced to live into the wooden bones of this puppet body after an exorcism in the Dark Ages. And the only way to escape this form is to possess someone." Now, I know this is going off the rails, but I need to say it with me. "Disciples, take her," Rex says. We then see the two hooded Rexes, and they reveal themselves to be Psychowitz and Sinjin, because let's be real, they're crazy enough to be into all this. "Tori, if you want your friends to be free, then you must allow me to take your body." "What?" Robbie looks surprised. "Listen, I don't want you to possess me, but why wouldn't you? Heck, why did you never bring any of this up the entire time we've known each other?" You, haha, don't make me laugh, fool. By the way, at this point, Rex has like a full British accent. And yes, that's canon because in the blooper episode, Season 2, episode Victorious, it's hosted by the actor that plays Rex, Christopher Kane, who speaks in a British accent. Now, I am not going to be talking in a British accent because, again, I am not good at accents. But just know, I am always 2 steps ahead. Anyways, Rex goes on to explain, "I would never possess a weakling like you. I were to possess anyone, it would be someone extraordinary, someone who shines, someone who will always be victorious."
He said it!
Robbie looks away and starts fuming, and then grabs Rex by his shoulders. "You've always undermined me, making me feel little, small, well, no more. I always thought I needed you to stand up for myself, but turns out the only one I need to stand up to was you." Rex then thrusts his hand into Robbie, knocking him out. He then leaps off the balcony and jumps into Tori's arms. "So what's your choice?" Tori looks around at all her friends in peril. Okay, you can possess me, but not here. I want it someplace special. Great, disciple, stay here and make sure no one escapes. The two of them then walks the halls of Hollywood Arts, and Tori enters a stage where they used to have all their plays. But remember, abandoned the school, so the entire room is pitch black. Tori then sits Rex down on the stage and she tries to look for a light. I've been waiting for this moment since I met you, Tori. I always knew you were the perfect candidate. Tori then switches on the light. So for this ceremony, all I need you is to draw blood and then draw a circle around me with your blood and some forbidden ancient words, and that should be done in time for a late dinner. But then Rex notices a small breeze. Oh, you didn't need to turn on the AC, Tori, but thanks anyways. That's not the AC. We then see Tori next to a turbo jet. Time for me to finish what I should have done all those years ago. Like last time, she switches from blow to suck, but this time it's no accident. The powerful suction force captures Rex's light puppet body and he goes into the machine. He's crushed and destroyed. When Tori switches back to blow, his puppet body is thrown to the other side of the room. Tori goes to him. Please, Tori, I'll give you anything. I can bring you back to your prime, I can. But Tori ignores him, instead stomping him to death. Because of course feet are involved in the final climactic note. I mean, I just did this to myself. Tori goes back to the group and pretends to act possessed. My disciples, the possession was a success, so now release my friends. They have no reason not to believe her, so they do. Lol, JK, it's just me, guys. Beat them up and call the police. And they do. And they all lived happily ever after. So Paramount or Paramount Skydance, I don't really care. I can receive my check either in the mail or through Cash App. Starting price is $300 for the pitch, and add an extra $0 for the script. As for the rest of you, if you enjoy my insane rambling, then feel free to like and subscribe and cash at me just for fun. Okay,
love you guys.
Don't forget to smile.
Would you let go of my wheel? Hey, come on! Hey, watch it, watch